In this demonstration, we will use the registration form that was created in the previous presentation. However, we will create a template for the form recognitions that we can recognize all fields automatically and provide them for the scan job indexer. We will use the same image and create a new scan job as a copy of the existing one. So we'll press the Copy to New Scan Job button, and we'll call this one, as it's a registration form, FR, which means Form Recognition, and then press the Save button. Now we'll double-click on the scan job and rename the title so that we can distinguish between these two scan jobs in GScan. So we've copied all the settings, as it's very easy to do so, and continue with the scan job configuration. Now we'll go to the form recognition type, where we'll enable the form recognition as a whole. The first step is to provide the recognition templates folder and configuration file name. We'll adjust this at the end of the configuration for its file name, and for now we will navigate to the document types, interfaces, ID capture, and here we'll create a new folder with our right click, which will be called Template Rec Form. And in this form, we'll create a template file, registration file, which is also the name of the configuration. And click No, as we don't want to copy all the template settings to each one to the small windows that appear. Now we'd like to create a new recognition template. Press Add New Recognition Template, and we'll name it Reg Form. Simply press OK, which will then prompt the Application Template Designer and ask us to provide the background image which the template will be created on. So we'll simply use regform1.jpg, which is saved in R files, and it'll be loaded, and now you'll see that the entire template creation process is not a very difficult one. All we have to do is define some reference zones for the image classification, image sizing, and use this number as a reference number. So when this number will be found on the form, GScan will know this template should be automatically used. I'll press Now, which you'll see the reference zone, and I will create a rectangle where the number will be visible inside. And now this reference zone 1 will be the regular expression that should be searched for. And the value that should be searched for, we'll enter here 5, 2, 3, 1, and 4, and simply click OK. This is the first step. And now the second step is another registration zone, and we'll press this button, and now the system will perform in the selected area of recognition. And if the value matches the entered one, which is then the regular expression phase, then this zone is noted to be registered. And in the same way, I will create another reference zone for the workshop, for example, and we'll have this registered zone as well. You can see that when the word is found, there's a small rectangle that appears outside of the word. So for simplicity purposes, I will create a third zone with the start date indicated. Please note, it's always a good idea to have more reference zones. These should always be distanced apart from each other though. Ideally, it's best to use reference zones that are indicated in the corners. Great! This should be enough for the reference zones. And now the reference zone holds, remember, great importance as GScan is able to select or classify the correct template that should be used based on these reference zones. Now we'll create recognition zones. These zones are where text will be extracted from. So the first zone we're going to create will be labeled as last name, and we'll also be extracting the information pertaining to the last name, and this is classified as a text type format. So the second zone will be for the first name, and the next zone will be for the title, and the next zone will be labeled as a document type. Again, these are all formats of text type. And another will be the document ID. And we'll do the address and enter each part in their individual zones. So we'll have the street, and we'll label the address line 2, as well as city, country, and zip code. Next, what we'll label the email, as well as more important information such as the company name, and now we're going to enter the 2 dates. One will be the start date, which will not be a text type format, but a time format. And the second date we're going to put in here will be labeled as the registration date. And again, the format is a date or a time format, not a text type. Now we can test to see if the setup was done correctly. We will use a few features from testing, and the first will be provided in the image folder. The second step is to then select the template for the recognition, and now I will create the image, or I will select the image as regform1.jpg and press the test button. And as you can see here, all the zones were recognized correctly. We have our last name, first name, title, document type, document ID, the street and its address lines, email, company name, start date, and of course the registration date. So all looks okay. So we'll save the template and then we'll close the template designer. Now we'll select the first page template name, and this is the one that we have already created, as we don't have any other templates for the other pages. So we'll use the registration form that we created as the indexing profile name. And the last piece of information that we're going to observe is field mapping. So clicking on field mapping, you can see all the fields from the template highlighted. However, the registration ID in the template is not seen, as we didn't identify this. If the name in the indexer is the same as the template, they are automatically connected. So, if there's any incorrect mapping, you can select any option from the recognition template to use and correct itself manually. But as we can see here, all looks okay. So we'll save our work and we'll run the GScan application, where we should have a new scan job called registration form for recognition. Great, all is here. So we'll open the scan job and provide the same file as seen in our previous GScan configuration demonstration. However, this time it won't be necessary to click to index or manually enter in information for registration. As you can see, the form recognition from before automatically and immediately extracts the information from the form and the indexing field, which is displayed in the yellow boxes, as you can see here now. As I click through the information that's extracted, you can see the yellow boxes highlighted. So, all fields, as you can see, are correctly identified, assigned, and recognized. And after the export, you should be able to see the batch with all the information extracted in the export folder. Click OK. It's all here as you can see, the image and its information extracted from the form. Easy. Thanks for watching how to work with the GScan Template Designer.